All right, we're gonna try this again because I was going on and my internet said bye. Okay, so today is Wednesday, November 5th. It was a couple hours ago because it was 8:19 a.m. Eastern Standard Time that the moon and the sun were directly opposing each other. The moon at 13 degrees Taurus and the sun at 13 degrees of Scorpio. And today I'm going to proceed through all of the aspects like I did yesterday, and this is all just me getting used to doing this. And I really like to bring my special blend of the way that I interpret the energies. Because I do realize that there are a lot of people who are lightly interested in astrology, and there are also people who think that astrology is just silly. And so I would like to invite both of those types of people, however you want to call it, to see it from a different perspective. I do use at this time Western tropical astrology, the Placidus housing system, and the mean node calculation. So here we go, Wednesday, November 5th, 2025. So again, this full moon, when we have the sun as Scorpio, so it's the sun is in the sign of the detective, in the side of I want the marrow out of life, I want the depth out of life. Scorpio is this very deeply intuitive and psychic sign, often known as the detective of the zodiac. And so when we have the sun there opposing the moon, which is what a full moon is, right? In Taurus at the same degree point, 13 degrees, the moon, which is all about your emotions, you can think of it as like your mom, like this nurturing energy. It rules, the moon rules Cancer, so if that helps you, also rules the fourth house of home and family. So all this kind of archetypal energy swirling around in your being to help you discern what this might mean for you. If the moon is in a sign like Taurus, what is Taurus? Taurus is affiliated with the second house, the house of love and value. It also has very much to do with tactile things outside of you that you can taste or touch, right? So when we're talking about the sun being in Scorpio, which is a water sign, which is all about the depths, the emotional depths, and uncovering the truth, right? And then we have it shining a light on the moon, which is all about our emotions, our needs, sometimes our needs that we don't share with other people, right? So maybe it has something to do with overgiving as well. But when the moon of emotions and this mothering energy is in the sign of Taurus, which is all about what you love and value, that is tactile. It's love, value, money. How can we think about that? I would say that it could have a lot to do with really looking deeply inside of yourself, especially if you're like an overgiver. How are you not valuing yourself? And maybe this can pertain to your actual physical body. Are you nourishing yourself? Are you making, plans and taking care of the house and taking care of the meals and the pets and everyone around you? But then when it comes time for you to eat, are you just sitting down and eating a box of wheat thins and some cheese? And don't get me wrong, that's fabulous. But I feel like it has something to do with, are you paying attention to you? Are you paying attention to your physical body? Are you really looking inside of all of yourself? Like, do you have any pain? Do you have any ailments? Do you have any, maybe like a nagging left heel pain that just won't go away and you don't know what it's from? And from an energy perspective, overdoing for others. And remember that silly thing that we always hear when we go on the airplane, put the mask on yourself before helping others. So you need to make sure that you're giving from an overflow, which I know isn't always possible when you have a home and family. And I'm not necessarily saying that I'm only speaking to women here, because it could be anyone. Anyone can be overgiving. Anyone can be overgiving at work. Or maybe it's about some type of an obsession. Like maybe you're obsessed with working on your car and you're ignoring all of your other commitments to yourself in terms of taking care of yourself. All right, so let's move on. And there's a lot of stuff out there right now about the full moon, which is wonderful and magical and lovely. But so I'm not going to focus too much on the full moon. I'm just going to proceed through all of the aspects. So then we also have the moon at 13 degrees of Taurus opposing Venus in Libra. And what's really cool about this is pretty much Venus, Venus, Venus. So we have all this feminine energy. We have the moon, which is emotions, the mother, this feminine type energy of emotion. We have Taurus, which is ruled by Venus. Taurus is all about what you love and value in the physical, tangible, taste, touch outside of yourself realm, right? And then we have an opposing Venus. Venus rules Taurus, and Venus is also in the sign that it rules, it is the co-ruler of, which is Libra. And Libra, of course, is about aesthetic beauty and fairness and balance. So if our moon and our emotions are highlighting value, tangible physical things outside of yourself, and it's opposing Venus, again, love and value, in Libra, aesthetic beauty, what does that mean? That to me may mean more of what we just discussed. Are you just taking care of everybody and everything outside of you and maybe failing to realize that you missed yourself, that you haven't been taking care of yourself first and foremost? And maybe it might require a little bit of energy on your part. Maybe it might require you waking up a little bit earlier so that you have 15 minutes to yourself to go meditate, take a nice steamy shower, to go on a walk before the whole world wakes up. It doesn't necessarily have to be anything specific, but it's something specific to you. The moon is saying, hey, honey, where are you not nurturing your body? Where are you not allowing your external to reflect your internal? And what I mean by that is, are you nurturing yourself internally enough to where it shows on the outside? We've all probably had those fun experiences where we go somewhere and someone says, "Oh wow, you look really tired." So I feel like that's kind of like a little snapshot of what I would interpret that energy to be. We also have the moon in Taurus making a square to Jupiter at 25 degrees of Cancer. So the moon rules Cancer. And so if we have the moon in Taurus, it's all about stability. How can we take care of ourselves in a diligent way that's stepwise and determined and kind of like that slow burn type energy? It's not like this magical, it's just going to happen overnight. It's Taurus is saying, I need you to pay attention to yourself. I need you to do things for yourself. I need you to eat fruits and vegetables. I need you to get a little bit of exercise. I need you to say no to the commitments that are going to drain you. And especially as it's squaring that Jupiter, which is expansive in Cancer, which is all about nourishing, you just want to nourish, 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 nourish. And the moon in Taurus is saying, start with yourself first. Then, when you have this overflow, then you can give to others. The moon is also making a square to Pluto. So again, moon in Taurus, squaring Pluto at 1 degree of Aquarius. This has been, actually, all of these have been kind of in the energy for a bit. They're all separating energies, meaning they're kind of like on their way out. But Pluto and Aquarius more than the other two, because Pluto will be staying in Aquarius all of November. Pluto's a very slow moving generational dwarf planet. And of course, the difference between a dwarf planet and a planet is that a dwarf planet has garbage in its orbit and is not in control of its gravitational orbit, whereas a planet is, which is one of my favorite analogies to use for doing the inner work. Because once, and it's always perpetual, it's never done, but you can tell if you are a planet or a dwarf planet by what kind of things you are attracting into your orbit. Because once you have yourself in alignment, you don't have garbage in your orbit anymore. So you're not going to be attracting people, places, and spaces that don't resonate with you. And if you are attracting people, places, and spaces that don't resonate with you, then that means you have garbage in your orbit, which basically just means you have subconscious programming, stuck emotions, limiting beliefs. Those are just examples. But basically, it's kind of like you can think other people's thoughts until you get your mental kind of orbit really locked down. And a good way to do this is through sovereignty, through pulling out cords, not establishing new cords. There's a whole topic of conversation that came up yesterday in terms of blame versus accountability. Whenever someone is blaming something outside of themselves for their circumstances, not only are they not realizing the beauty of the world, because everything is up for their sovereign discernment, and everything truly is happening for each and every individual. But sometimes we don't see this stuff clearly. But when we're blaming, and yes, I understand that, sometimes like if somebody swerved into you in traffic, yes, they are to blame. But when you're blaming, you're saying, I'm staying in my comfort zone. I'm not up for the challenge. I'm not doing the work. And more than that is you're actually like, you're charging this connection. You're making a new charge connection with this person that you're blaming instead of saying, they made a mistake. I'm accountable for the things that happened to me. And it's not so much about what happens to me or for me, but it's more about like, how am I going to proceed? Am I going to proceed with grace? Am I going to step out of my comfort zone? Or am I going to stay in my comfort zone and blame someone else and make these new energetic cords that are charged? Okay, so moving on. Venus is in Sagittarius, that fiery sign. And again, same as yesterday, it's opposing Mars, which is also in Sagittarius. So a lot of mind to forward motion, whereas like there might have been times in the past where you just kind of got caught in rumination about something that you wanted to do or something that you wanted to say. Maybe it was like you wanted to come on and you wanted to do a YouTube live, but you were nervous because it wasn't perfect. Well, you got Mars and you got Sag, and they're like, let's go. You're thinking it, let's do it. Mercury is the thinker, the idea conjurer, holding hands with Mars, who's all about forward motion. Mars rules Aries, the very first sign of the Western tropical zodiac. And Mars, at least according to this ephemeris, has this applying aspect, which means it's kind of moving in at 0 degrees of Sagittarius. So Mercury at 5 degrees Sag, Mars at 0 degrees Sag. It's go time, babies. That's what that says. Then you have Mercury opposing Uranus, 0 degrees of Gemini. And again, this is a separating aspect, which means we've been working with this for a while and we will continue to work with this until until Uranus moves. And I guess I didn't. Yes, I did. Uranus moves back into Taurus. So Uranus is retrograde, right? And again, retrograde can mean a lot of things. But it moves back into Taurus on the 8th of this month, so in 3 days. So it's moving backwards or appearing to move backwards in the sky, right? That's what they say retrograde is. So this can be a time to kind of like look back at decisions you've made. A lot of people will refer to retrogrades as like redoing, rewriting, R-E, whatever you want to say. What I think is interesting about retrograde is it's the symbol of it is an RX, which, I worked as a pharmacist for 12 years, and that's the symbol for a prescription. So to me, I feel like this is all about whenever something's retrograde, it's all about going inside and asking yourself for your truth. It's about, no, I'm not listening to what's outside of me, not from like a point of being difficult, but just I'm not needing external validation for whatever is passing through my energy right now. What I'm needing is to go inside and to see myself more clearly. So again, a lot of, and it makes sense because we're in Scorpio season, but a lot of like shadow integration, shadow work is what's been coming up when I've been looking at this astrology. So again, Mercury, the mind in the fiery sign of Sagittarius. Sagittarius wants to learn, wants to expand. It's ruled by Jupiter, has everything to do with the 9th house, which is spirituality, learning, traveling abroad, learning new cultures. And it's opposing Uranus, the planet of revolution at 0 degrees of the mind, which is Gemini. So let's think about this. We have mind opposing mind. We have mind in fire with action opposing, I want to say electricity, because that's how I think of Uranus. Uranus is the disruptor. It feels like electricity. And I feel like this is kind of, it's like this zap. It's like you have this dream, you're being encouraged to take a step forward in the right direction, which doesn't just mean empty, frivolous action. It means aligned action, and you know it. And maybe you're holding yourself back. And this placement is saying, you have to stop doing that. You have to just go for it. You have to just be yourself. You have to just put yourself out there and do whatever this thing is that you've been ruminating in your mind for a while. And we also have this beautiful trine and the sextile. And these placements were also, of course, here yesterday. So again, trine is more kind of like this, like, you guys ever seen the 70s show where they cut school and they end up finding a full keg of beer, and you hear that ah like angel noise. It's kind of like that. It's like you put in your mind you wanted to party, and then well, there you go. The universe just like gave you the party, right? But that's just an example of how I'm reading this energy. So it's like you have something in your mind, Mercury, that you want to do, Sagittarius, and it's trining this disruptor, Uranus energy in Pisces, which is again this very dreamy rumination of energy types. But with Pisces, we do have to be careful of things like illusion or disillusionment, or honestly, self martyrdom is something that, which of course with the trine, you're probably not going to see that. But when we're thinking of Mercury in Sagittarius making a trine to Uranus in Pisces, it's like all of your dreams are coming true. So believe in yourself, right? And take little small steps towards the action that you want to achieve. So for me, a good example would be I would like to be a better astrologer. I would like to be able to encourage more people to see the importance of astrology and how it can be useful in their life, whether it's someone who is very science based, someone who's very spiritual, or just someone who just really doesn't see the point in astrology. I feel like I have something that I can offer to all three of those types of like mindscapes. And it's because I can do it in a way that no one else can, which is everyone has something that they can do in a way that no one else can. And that's why it's so important when we have these like ambitions, especially the ones that don't just stay in the mind, the ones that make your whole body feel like you're rising, like you're flying, like I can do this, I know I can do this. And you have to practice. So you have to take little steps in the right direction. So whatever it is that you really want to do, say you want to make soap, start doing it. Maybe start giving it away as gifts to your friends. And, then eventually your friend's going to ask for an extra bar of soap and give it to their friend. And then eventually their friend's going to say, do you have a business card? So this is what I'm saying. Say you want to be an actor or a singer, but you don't have a lot of experience being in the public. There's all kinds of jobs out there where you can host certain types of events that only last an hour or two, and you get to be the MC. So it's just something small in the right direction, right? Okay. And then, of course, Mercury, mind in Sagittarius, fire, sextiling, which is more boots on the ground type aspect. And Pluto in Aquarius says that as you do what feels good to you, the entire world reaps the benefits, because every single person that's in alignment helps raise the vibration and helps everybody else, not just by us physically seeing you do the thing and being inspired by you, right? Because there's no such thing as competition, it's all collaboration. If you look at someone and you're like, wow, they're doing that and I could do that better, that's your invitation for collaboration. That's exactly what that is. Okay. And then you have, again, your sun opposing the moon. You have Venus in Libra making a square to Jupiter in Cancer, and also a square to Pluto in Aquarius. And how would I think of this? So if we have Venus at 27 degrees of Libra, Venus loves being in Libra because Venus is all about love and value. Libra is about fairness, love, valuing yourself, balance, and aesthetic beauty. It's again making a square to that Jupiter and Cancer. So I feel like it's kind of tempering this energy of excess. I could see one of the manifestations of Jupiter being in Cancer as being potentially like overeating, or maybe even being a little bit over emotional. And I think when you have this Venus in Libra, it's saying, hey, you're perfect just the way you are. And love yourself first and foremost. And then you can um, be able to see how you loving yourself first and foremost makes the world change around you in such a way that everything that used to feel kind of hard feels a little bit lighter. And everything really isn't up to you. Everything isn't your responsibility. That's how I'm reading that. And then again, we have Venus in Libra making that square to Pluto. And as you choose yourself first and foremost and operate from a giving standpoint of I give when I have an abundance of something, right? Because you can't give something that you don't have, because then you're going into lack. So this whole placement is very much saying like keep yourself above water, keep yourself nourished, tend to yourself first and then others. And as you do this, you'll see the world change around you because, again, like I said, it's this beautiful energy of what you do for yourself also reverberates out to the entire earth and world. And it could be just as simple as slowing down, not moving in. Uh, I think it's going to cut off again. Oh, well, I'll just keep talking. So we have Mars in Sagittarius, making a trine to Jupiter in Cancer. So again, that beautiful blending energy of fiery Mars in fiery action-oriented Sagittarius, making this beautiful trine, like a gift dropping into your lap of Jupiter in Cancer. So it's like maybe you started eating more cleanly, maybe you started taking walks or swimming. But whatever you're doing, it looks like you are focusing on taking care of your physical body. And your physical body includes your thoughts and your mind as well. Okay. And then we have Mars in Sagittarius making a square to Saturn retrograde in Pisces. And again, we've been feeling this one for a little while, right? Yeah. So this is like where your actions too much? How can you temper yourself and not make yourself too rigid? But actually, it's a trine, so excuse me. This would be more like doors, windows, avenues, portals are opening up for you just by simply being yourself. And when the action is aligned, you have the energy to do it because of the Mars and Sagittarius placement. You also have Mars and Sagittarius opposing Uranus in 0 degrees of Gemini. So not watching the news is kind of how I see this. Separating yourself from what doesn't feel true for you, separating yourself from what is not your truth, the places that you're out of alignment. Perhaps it's friendships, partnerships, career opportunities, investments, things that aren't reciprocal will simply kind of break apart and you can say goodbye to them in your mind energy. Again, Mars in Sagittarius trining Neptune retrograde in Pisces. I feel this is the same type of energy that we mentioned just a little bit ago with the Mars trining Jupiter. So Mars trining Jupiter, of course, is expanding your capacity to take care of yourself and then also others, but yourself first. And then Mars trining Neptune is all about your dreams, and Neptune is in Pisces. So a lot of times, depending on the other placements, we need to be a little bit careful that we weren't just like in illusion or disillusionment. But I feel like this again is like this you are believing in yourself, you are believing in your vision, and the vision doesn't just stay in your mind, right? It doesn't just stay in your energy, because I do feel like Pisces is like that ether, that water, that kind of like ethereal energy. I always want to talk about it like in terms of plasma, so I need to kind of look into this more because it's like it's it's something that makes the thing, and it's not necessarily a thought form, it's past that. So it's like if the thought form was kind of like the second step of manifestation, this is past that. This is where the thought form, the intuition, the imagination, the magic, the belief in yourself is supported by your energy to do something. So again, I feel like this is like things are going to be dropping into your lap. Maybe something that you've been wanting to do for years. You meet one new person and they give you a person who's interested in what you've been wanting to do for years, and then you already have like this new co-collaboration beginning. I feel like it's something like this. And then again, the Mars sextile Pluto at 1 degree of Aquarius. As you do these things, these little steps every single day, it reverberates out into the world at large and helps everyone as you help yourself. We have Jupiter at 25 degrees of Cancer, trining Saturn retrograde in Pisces, and trining Neptune in Pisces retrograde as well. So again, Jupiter in Cancer is all about expanding the nourishment of yourself,